In the top right, he needs to win this, or he goes to code B.
RorO.
Looks confident, really, much more than Classic was earlier.
He's a champion.
Well said.
Classic.
Not him, though.
No.
He's not a champion, not yet.
Wants to be. Certainly could be. I love his keyboard.
Yeah, it's a handsome one. All right. So, I love it. Drone Scout coming out of RorO. Not messing around. Drone Scout is my favorite type of scout.
Yeah. More than like a Pro Scout or an SCV Scout.
Yeah, because like
I know.
it's just the Drone Scout. Drone Scout means more.
Right. I mean,
like Drone Scout actually means something because Zerg doesn't always Drone Scout, but when they do Drone Scout, it's like a really good player. That's like, I am not going to lose to your crap.
well,
I don't need the extra minerals.
A significant amount of your early game economy to get some extra information that your Overlord just can't tell you quickly enough.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just getting an overview of this map. There's a gold base here on
Thank
the left
God.
side and on the right side as well. Nexus first is the choice for Classic. And a greedy hatch for RorO goes even double drone before. We'll see if he takes gas. I doubt it, but yeah, he would have taken it already. But still, 2 extra drones with this one.
Yeah.
And gate. And he's
all actually, yeah. We have the probe. It's going to be able to get up here and scout this.
Checks even to see if the Nexus was canceled. He's very diligent about that.
Is that really what he was doing?
I don't know. What else was he doing?
I don't know. I guess he's waiting for a certain timing or something to check what's going on.
Maybe he wanted to see if the pylon was on the low ground or on the high ground.
Maybe. Well, he checks what's going on, sees that this is just the greediest build that you can come up with as a Protoss versus Zerg.
And he responds with more greed, it looks like. He's going to take his 3rd hatch at 3:30.
It's a good time. Could call it 12, though, as well.
Yeah.
Maybe even 11:55 or so.
Yeah, something like that.
That would be very late for a 3rd hatch, though.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, it's, I like didn't realize what you meant for a minute. I'm like, what? And now I get it.
Yeah, it's a terrible joke. I don't know.
That joke had like at least 155 milliseconds of delay. From my brain.
Yeah, not very good ping.
It's on the Artosis server.
See, I make jokes on the yeah.
It's on the Artosis server, man. It's too laggy.
Your connection to the Artosis server is not that good, even though you're close by.
Yeah.
I have a firewall up.
Yeah. Well, you gotta get rid of that, man. I like your jokes. I want to get them on the right speed.
All right. We'll work on that later. You need an Artosis ID card though to make an account, so that's a problem.
Yeah, do I have
I'm the only one with one of those.
Do I have to
actually, Tasteless has one too.
Do I have to go down to like the Stamkowski office and
you
get
do.
that made? I hope there's not a long queue time.
It's in Dangu.
Oh wow, that's so far.
All right, so Stargate coming up, of course. No big surprise there. Stargate, a pretty popular building for Protoss players, I would say.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's some sick commentary. The Stargate, a pretty popular building.
It is.
Spawning pool, that's really popular as well. We generally see one of those every game from a Zerg.
Now, the Creep Tumor has never declined in popularity, not even in the beta.
What matters who's playing? If you watch July Zerg, for instance, not so many.
He does at least drop a few tumors, though.
Yeah,
right?
normally about 2.
We've seen only a rise of creep tumors since the very first days of the beta.
That is true.
Some people weren't making them at all. Some people freaked out when DTs came to the base, like, oh, Overlords don't detect anymore. But yeah, we've come a long way since then.
We certainly have. Thank God. This game would not have made it. People didn't get good at it.
I remember the first time I played a PvZ, like the very first day of the beta. I just made a void raid because I wanted to see how much damage I could do. Flew to opponent's base, and they were like, "What?" They typed to me in chat, "What? Hydras are on lair tech." They just left the game.
Cool. I like it.
It was fun.
All right, so this Phoenix is going to go around and scout a little bit. Let's see what tech Protoss wants to go for after this. Like, obviously, he's going to want to add some gates and most likely a Robo. Occasionally, you see some of these kind of cool and wonky Stargate into Twilight builds, though. That's not really classic style, in my opinion, though.
No.
We have that layer about halfway done. Speed on the way, a lot of drones being made. I just love how many drones I see RorO pop up as soon as he sees Stargate units. And we actually have that robo going up off of the 3 gateways. I'd imagine we're going to see a third base being taken by Classic relatively soon.
I think this map is deceivingly small. Like, it looks kind of big when you just look at it at first glance, but the more I look at it, it's actually pretty small. I wonder...
I think it's small in base number, but I think it's actually big.
Yeah, I'm just really not sure. Like, he just walked across the map with these Zealots. It didn't seem like it took him too long.
Well, here we go. These Zealots coming in. A pretty good time warp going down. 2 Queens in here, and the drones being pulled as well. As many drones as possible being picked up by these Phoenixes. Just about out of energy, though.
Yeah. He's going to be able to pick off these Queens with that time warp, though. And Zergling's coming out, but they're going to have to fight Zealots, which is not ideal. Now he's going to pick off the last of that Queen. Those Queens, excuse me.
Well, that attack was super effective in the words of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Really good amount of damage being done. Look at this. He's killed 11 drones at this point, 2 Overlords, 2 Queens. He's only lost 4 Zealots. This was really, really strong play here by Classic.
So, you know, at this point, the thing about the tech is that the Hydra's Den and the Robotic Support Bay are finishing at the same time. And that's not usually a good sign for the Zerg player because he's already got his tech, the answer to his tech already out there. And what he can do from here is just easily secure a third base with that Colossus tech. What's he going to do to stop that? He
could. You know, there's an older build. It was Trap's go-to for a very long time, where you would actually make like 1 to 2 Immortals after your Phoenixes and go right into Colossus and do an all-in. It doesn't look like that's what we're going to see here, but just wanted to throw that out as a slight possibility. Sometimes we do see those anachronistic builds come back.
I used to call that build with Calder the Plan X build because it was just like you would use it in the best of series once and it would throw your opponent off. Like, it's time for Plan X.
It was actually very nice for that reason. I definitely mixed that in on the ladder a good amount.
Well, I really like the position here for Classic because I can't see any way RorO is going to be able to kill that third base. You know, he's trying to switch up tech here and really probably just trying to get Corruptors out to deal with the Colossi, but it just feels a bit late. It feels like Classic just has everything up a little bit faster, a little bit crisper.
Have to agree with you. The Spire is just too late. He's not going to be able to break through. There's already 5 sentries out. Colossus range will be done before any attack could make it down there. RorO is just going to have to take a 4th. He can't go into any attack, and I don't think this is even really wide enough for him to do it.
The 4th is just so late already, though, right? I mean, he needs to take it like yesterday at this point because the third base of the Protoss is going to be up, and then he's going to be mining on 3 bases while the Protoss is also mining on 3 bases with good tech. He has +1 finish. The range is coming up here. Blink is almost done. Even his worker count is not significantly better right now. He just had to spend so many larvae on those Zerglings earlier to defend that attack. He lost his Queens, which then further limited his larvae.
This is a tough situation. No doubt about that. With the 5 gateways being added, you know, sometimes you see Phoenix into Colossus third base. This is like a slightly slower version than what we see sometimes because of the Zealot harassment, but that also means he has more units than you would expect. This is actually very, very tough right now.
This is a risky 4th because it's the 4th base that's the closest to the move-out point for Classic and his army. And it's a gold base, so if he can hold it, he's going to get a huge boost in minerals. But as soon as Classic realizes it, especially because the Corruptor count is so low, his Blink's almost done, I'd be ready to punish.
He's about to have 9 Corruptors. Here's what I think is going to happen. We're going to see an engagement around that gold base. Like, we're going to see Classic push, and we might get to see all the Colossus killed and maybe the sentries and Zealots and whatnot, but this is the type of situation with this many gateways where you just keep warping and blink stalkers and kill your opponent.
You kill the Hydras with your Colossi. Once the Colossi die, it doesn't matter because the Corruptors are dead weight, and you just warp in more and more stalkers. You have the better upgrades. You have the ability to blink with them, and I think that's exactly what we're going to see. He's going to stick with these 3 Colossi, keep going into blink stalkers, and have +2 in blink. This attack should be shut down, but good angle here.
Yeah, he's actually done a great job with the flank, but these are some pretty darn good force fields, keeping the units on the right basically out of the battle. And that was the perfect runaway timing for RorO. Truly was. He needs to back up, though. He does not want to engage again right this second. He needs to wait for some reinforcements. In fact, I think he needs to get back on creep. He's killed the Colossus. Can he hope for better than that right now?
No way, man. That was like the best engagement we could ever hope for.
Yeah. That went a lot better than I really thought it was going to. And now he's going to have the gold base. No way you don't attack again. You sit back for a minute. You let that build up, that gold mineral fund, and whoa, no drones over there. Maybe you do attack again. I'm sorry. I thought that he was going to have all his bases going. But
yeah, he's actually got less drones on the Protoss, so he just decides to saturate the gold instead.
Which, of course, if you have a gold, that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But
ideally, he'd like to have more drones. But his army is so big as a result.
Can Classic figure this out and play extra defensively right now? He's making Immortals instead of Colossus, so that's very good.
All right, here we go. Force fields again, decent. Isolating the units on the left side this time. And Phoenix is coming in here to pick up some of the roaches.
This was quite well done. We see that we had a lot of corruptions go down on these Protoss units from RorO, so he was very quick about that as well. But it seems like Classic is aware of what's going on. He's avoiding Colossus. He's making sure that he has enough sentries there to put out the force fields, continuing to make a lot of Blink Stalkers. And these Blink Stalkers are going to have +3. And that's going to be really scary for, you know, a Roach Hydra type army, especially if you have enough force fields.
Yeah. They're both like kind of moving around, zoning each other out a little bit. Those 5 sentries right there are so important because there are no Colossi. He has to cut this army into pieces to fight it properly. Because, you know, if that Zerg army just gets a good arc and all of it is firing, he's going to win this fight. Yeah, he's got to stay in areas like this that we see, where he actually can get good surface area. Good time warps here, and he isolates those roaches in the south, not making them useful. He needs to be careful with these stalkers, though. Can't be sloppy like that. And now the time warps are gone. He needs to make some more sentries, actually, as, you know, normally you don't see sentries made at this point, especially when you still have 4 or 5, but yeah, if he doesn't have enough force fields, he has to be so careful where he's engaging. Now we have a bunch of speedlings coming out to help get in there, especially against no sentries. Yeah, and the army of the Protoss is totally cut up here. Well, if he blinks that top part down, the bottom part definitely is having a good time. Oh yeah, that's for sure, and there he does do it. And now these Zerg units are kind of caught in a place where they have to continue to engage. The Corruptor's not too useful here. Way more big Stalkers being warped in here. And he is in only Stalker mode at the moment. And against all of these Hydras, can he actually kill them off? It looks like he is completely confident of it. Does blink forward. +3 finishes during that fight as well. And he's going to start watch the supply just even up like crazy as he gets that. But without any sentries, fighting against this big group of Speedlings might be something he's a little bit concerned about, a little bit nervous about. He doesn't know how many Speedlings are actually out there. Let's not forget either, there's no Observer. This creep is really pushed up very far. Basically, all the battles he's going to have this game are going to be on creep, and that makes it really difficult. Unless he wants to back up in macro, which maybe he will. Yeah, making a Colossus and some sentries now. Starts at 4th base. And he's still, I don't think he knows that the saturation is pretty poor for RorO right now. 20 Hydras coming out. Wow, he's done this already in game 1 that cost him. He's just commits to 1 unit so heavily that he gets, you know, not blind countered, but directly countered. You know, you identify this with 1 hallucination scout or 1 observer, and then suddenly you're just like, oh, I make a second Robo and Colossi. You can't switch out of that. He didn't know that he's going into only Hydras, but he had already started Colossus, so a little bit lucky from Classic, whereas RorO is taking he's taking a risk again, just like with those Ultras. He's saying, I hope that you don't start Colossus again. Yeah, he's taken an unnecessary risk without any information that like has any precedent to suggest such a risk, right? Like, he's saying, well, maybe you're thinking I'm not going Hydras, instead of checking and saying, are you making Colossi or not? Yeah, well, it's a kind of difficult thing for him to check at the moment, but no overseers. You know, he's got to make something. He has no hive tech. He has no infestation pit. In fact, it's only halfway done at the moment. It's hard to make Roach Hydra really work against what we're looking at here from Classic. If he waits for that 3rd Colossus, maybe gets a couple more sentries. Oh, he has 3, but no, he has 4 actually. Okay, 37. It's pretty decent. 37. Hydras versus 37 Stalkers plus 3 Colossi with range. I don't care how good your flanks are, it's probably not going to be a good fight. Well, this flank is pretty good. Those force fields right there really saving him this game. That flank could have been absolutely fantastic without those force fields, but as is, he kills almost half the army right there. He basically wins like 1 2v1 fight, like army size-wise, and you know the rest of the Hydras escape, thankfully for RorO, and he runs with his tail between his legs, trying to get those Corruptors up as fast as he can, because he knows 4 is nowhere near enough, even transfusing the ones he has left. Well, now he's got this gold base up, Wolf, and that is getting really scary. They're both sitting around 60 workers, and when you're basically even bases and Protoss just started his gold, he's mined much less, so he has a lot more to mine from that gold base, whereas the gold base of RorO is probably starting to get a little bit thinned out by now, and that's something that's going to become more and more important as the game goes on.
Those gold bases do mine out pretty quickly. Now, we do have Corruptors being added back into the mix. He's up to 15, but we do have some Void Rays being made by Classic as well. So he's going to be able to kill off Corruptors pretty quickly, but these 4 Colossus, let's see if he can actually kill them off. Ooh, those are pretty good force fields right there. A lot of units in the back for Zerg, not firing at the moment.
Yeah, and look at that. Pulls back the Colossi. So many Corruptors go down for free. As soon as those force fields fade, he can continue to chase, even blinking forward instead. 18 more Hydras on the way, still those 2 Colossi, and he doesn't have really any Roaches to tank, so...
Like, he traded 5 Corruptors for the 2 Colossi, which is, like, kind of okay-ish, but he definitely lost a chunk of his ground army too. So you can't do trades like that, like up a ramp against someone that does have force fields. You have to be very careful about that. But this is the thing. As you max out, Roach Hydra Corruptor becomes worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Unless you have enough Vipers, you know, something on Hive Tech. And he starts the Hive now, but it's so far away.
Well, the thing is, you want to hit with your Vipers before they have High Templars. The Templar Archives is almost done.
Yeah.
He's never going to have a Viper timing. He needs to get into another tech. He doesn't have the upgrades for another tech. What is he supposed to do? He has to stay on the composition. And if he stays on the composition, as long as Classic plays it slow, he should be able to take the game.
He doesn't want to engage like this. He needs more units coming down, and there they come. A good angle here for the Corruptors right in the center. Well, there's just so much damage output here on these Colossi.
Yeah, they're really slaughtering that top row, but the left-hand Hydras did some damage at least. Unfortunately, that is a lot of Blink Stalkers and some good force fields.
Yeah, the Corruptors are all dead now, and 20 more Hydras on the way. Storm is up. He needs to kill a base with this, though. He can't just sit back. Or, I mean, I feel he should at least poke at one. To just walk away here means that he can get the Hydras back, and he'll have to take forever to rebuild his Colossi.
I think the only option is to kill this one that he's actually walking towards. You don't want to commit too far on creep, because oftentimes they'll remax in Ling Roach, which is going to be really quick to get there, both the build and to get there. So I think killing this and backing back up for a moment, let his army refill just a little bit more, is going to be a great choice.
I don't even think he, with just pure Hydra against this, fighting against this Protoss army, with a good angle, he can blink pretty well against it. That's exactly what we're going to see here. He's like basically just saying, you know, I don't even really need Colossi to fight this army right now. I have +3 on Blink Stock. Even a Void Ray is not afraid to fight the Hydras. The Immortal tanking here at the front a little bit. And he's just going to keep taking decent trades while he continues to get those High Templar out and to get that AoE back at home.
Well, right now, RorO is in a no-run situation. He would just be chased down if he turned around. And GG, that is it. Classic goes through into Code S. And RorO, unfortunately, drops down to Code B.
What a series, man. That was a really fun one to watch. Two very close games there in our final set. Classic staying focused, though. He looked so much more stressed out going into the match, but is able to keep his cool here.
A lot of pressure. He still has to, get those individual league wins, whereas RorO has already accomplished a lot. Yeah. We'll see how far he can get this season. Could get pretty deep, I think. He's really one of the best Protosses in the world.
Yeah, he certainly is, man. I feel like right now RorO is in this weird place where he's not right in like his condition or something. He's just not playing like the RorO we've seen before. Not really sure what the reason is. Maybe he's when you start to slump, sometimes that in itself kind of stresses you out, and you start to think like, am I in a slump? And it can get into your head a little bit.
Thing is, he's also had some very good games lately. So
in Pro League especially, right? I mean.
I think overall today he played pretty well, but maybe a little bit below what we'd like to see. Well, let's take a look at these match results. Look at that, all 2-0s today. Tails taking out RorO. Classic over Seed, then Tails over Classic. I thought that was pretty surprising. And then RorO over Seed, no surprise there. And Classic over RorO, I'm not actually surprised there either. I really thought Classic was actually just going to win the whole thing to begin with.
Well, solid results here from Classic. Let's take a look at the matches we're going to see in about an hour and 15 minutes time. At 6 p.m., we're going to see Dark versus Innovation and Sora versus Armani for our Group B.
Yeah, I don't know Armani very well, but I do got to say, Sora and Innovation, 2 of my favorite players for Protoss and Terran respectively, should be a great set of matches, and you and I will be back to cast that as well, Wolf.
Yeah, so be sure to stick around. Make sure you at least have the Twitch bookmarked or something, because we're going to be back in basically an hour's time. And be there. We will too.
We will see you guys then. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.